Today, humanity faces some very serious issues, many of which must be addressed on a collective or internationally cooperative level. Concerns of global warming, national resource scarcity, and a greater segregation between the haves and the have-nots are prevalent across the planet. Violent conflict and wars are widespread, and according to the Institute for Economic and Peace's 2013 Global Peace Index, the world has become 5% less peaceful since 2008. Human beings have become both deeply connected and frighteningly isolated. Social media and the web have given us the ability to reach out and connect to almost anyone, anywhere in the world. Yet, we often do so in the privacy of our own home or office. This connection is contingent upon the touch of a button, an electrical current, or bandwidth, not the connection of eyes or the warmth of a hand or an embrace. According to WHO, the World Health Organization, despite all of our societal advancements, global suicide rates have increased 60% in the past 45 years. Additionally, globally, more than 350 million people of all ages suffer from depression, and this number is rapidly on the rise. In a way, though, it's not surprising. For generations, we've based the assessment of progress and the well-being of nations, and by default, the well-being of individuals, on gross domestic product, or GDP. InvestorWords defines GDP as the total market value of all final goods and services produced in a country in a given year, equal to total consumer, investment, and government spending plus the value of exports minus the value of imports. This term was first developed in 1934 for a U.S. Congress report by Simon Kuntz. In his report, Kuntz made it very clear that, quote, the welfare of a nation can scarcely be inferred from a measurement of the national income. And yet, this is the very tool that has become an international standard to assess the standard of living and, by default, the quality of life of people and nations throughout the world. In March 1968, Robert Kennedy delivered a now famous speech in Kansas on the limitations of GNP. He concluded with a powerful insight that, quote, it measures everything in short except that which makes life worthwhile. Except that which makes life worthwhile. The shortcomings of GDP are vast. In particular, it does not include what some refer to as the core economy, and that is the network of relationships and activities which are outside the market and create the social fabric that is the undergirding of our societal well-being. Much of which is unpaid, but makes life, as Kennedy stated, worthwhile. That includes child rearing, running a household, helping friends and neighbors, volunteering, and local political participation. Additionally, GDP does not account for the long-term social and environmental costs of economic development, which includes our children's futures. Now, despite being more than 45 years since Kennedy's revered speech, we still use GDP as an indicator of societal progress. But what does structuring society around economic value say about our priorities? One could suggest this type of prioritization is harmful to people in the long run. Governments are often inhibited from caring for constituents as a result of squabbling over budget cuts, and corporations' priorities become more about accountability to shareholders than caring for employees or the social or environmental impact of their goods and services. One might argue this is simply indicative of a free market system, a reflection of people's choices. But how successful is it? According to Charles Eisenstein in the book Sacred Economics, he states, today's economic system rewards selfishness and greed. Now, what would an economic system look like that, like some ancient cultures, rewarded generosity instead? Heuristic evidence shows that incorporating or implying emotional, social, spiritual, somatic, cultural, or creative intelligence to policymaking and economics is taboo, considered too soft and or irrelevant. Yet, each of these intelligences plays a significant role in being human. So how do we change the conversation so that they can be reflected within our policies and well-being assessments? Perhaps using economic terms may hold a key. As has been discussed, a nation's economy is defined by the exchange of its wealth and resources. If we apply this to the well-being of an individual, we can define one's inner economy. That is, the inner resources one gains, uses, and loses in the exchange of daily life. These resources are separate from any external valuation based upon financial or material wealth or other people's perceptions of an individual. Resiliency, acceptance of failure, inner peace, integrity, self-actualization, and dignity are all significant aspects of a healthier inner economy. Possessing a healthy inner economy brings one into a non-static sense of peace. Within that state of being, one is comfortable with their feelings of anger and fear, sadness, as much as with their feelings of joy, love, and stillness. As we develop our inner economy, we change how we are in the world. A healthy inner economy brings a more compassionate, humble sense of self. It creates a peaceful, beneficial balance between improving ourselves and healing the vast array of social and environmental issues we face. Inner economy is rooted in high emotional, spiritual, somatic, social, cultural, and creative intelligences, and it is grounded in a positive, empowered, compassionate, and pluralistic worldview. It is the capacity to hold the paradox of conflicting emotions while functioning in a non-dualistic reality. Inner economy is a way to define the unspoken qualities of a society and assess the well-being of people and in turn nations, allowing us to create a world where well-being, kindness, and care serve as our foundation. Thank you.